My next guest has had a remarkable journey from the world of fashion design to stage and screen. With a passion for storytelling, she's quickly making a name for herself in the acting world. From TV shows to stage production, her versatility is shining through. Welcome to Showtime, Claire McCulloch.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Claire, I'd love to find out from you how old you were when you started performing, because I believe it was pretty young.
One of my earliest memories that I have as a child is actually me being invited up into like an amphitheatre, an expo up in Queensland, and I remember going on the stage and there was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and I felt quite at ease on the stage. And then when I went back to the audience and sat with my mum, my parents were like, how did you do that? That's incredibly scary. And I just said, no, actually I felt at home. And so from there, I was always performing in front of family, friends, at school, whatever. And I think somewhere along the line, I had other passions that sort of drew me in a different direction. But I also bizarrely had this thing in my head that I could never remember the lines. So I think it was just purely because of fear that I never pursued it at a young age. But for me, I've always felt very confident public speaking or being in front of a large audience. So it's just sort of ingrained in me, I think.
How old actually were you that very first experience?
I honestly can't remember, but I reckon I must have been 3 or 4.
Yeah, wow. That's a big deal for a 3 or 4. I mean, on the one hand, kids, they don't have those fears and inhibitions. But on the other hand, it's a big deal for a 3 or 4 year old kid to stand up in front of all those strangers.
I think so. I definitely think so. But it felt very natural to me. And I've always had that in me. I've always been able to be on a stage and not have, of course you have nerves, but feeling very comfortable. Has this feeling of belonging as well.
What do you mean, that feeling of belonging?
I think it's just, a feeling in your spirit, your soul, that's where you belong. I don't know how to explain it really, but yeah.
Is it the storytelling? Is it the audience? Is it what is it that gave you that connection, that drive?
I think it's all of the above. I do think that I love the storytelling part of it. I love being swept up into a journey with a character and being able to tell that story for that character. I just feel like once you're in that moment, nothing else matters, perhaps.
And what sort of formal training have you had?
So for me, I obviously actually had formal training a bit later in life. I've had a background in fashion design, but it wasn't until sort of COVID hit and I randomly got in contact with an old agent, and he called me and he said, look, there's a project being filmed out where you live. It's going to be 3 or 4 months worth of work. Are you interested? And it was like one of the only things that was happening in the industry during COVID time. They had allowances. It was very locked down and strict. You were only allowed to see those people during the performance. But it was for the NBC program La Brea. Once I was on set, I was there maybe 4 times a week with a beautiful group of people. It lasted for 4 months. And during that time, I think I was reignited with the passion of drama. And I loved being on set. I loved just the whole process of it. And I just was like, why haven't I ever done this? Why didn't I pursue this? And so I just thought, you know what, I just need to go and get educated. So I then did a few short courses, and then I booked in for a full-time course in acting in 2022, and that sort of just paved the way of performing from there on in. And I love it.
How has your perception of performing changed from those early experiences, even those early experiences as an adult, to having gone through the formal training?
Well, I think obviously it's more of the technical side of it, and being able to do script analysis, learning, obviously, memorising words, having that muscle memory, but also learning about the reaction and also learning about the script. So I definitely think having formal training is important, and I will continue to have training for the rest of my life, I think, because you need to keep educated, but you also need to involve yourself in projects, whether they're unpaid or paid, and be around a community of people so that you can continue to learn and grow. I think that if you don't do that, you remain stagnant. But also, it's like with any industry or any profession, you need to keep yourself involved to be good at your craft. So, yeah, sorry, I've got a dog.
What sort of dog?
Kelpie.
Yeah, cute. What is it that performing gives you that nothing else gives you?
I think it gives me a drive, a burning desire. It fulfills my soul, my spirit. It just makes me happy. Yeah, it just makes me happy.
You're working on The Girl on the Train. How did you get involved with that project?
Well, we've got a really great theatre up where I live in the Macedon Ranges. It's been around, I think, since 1972.
This is Mountview Theatre?
Yes. Yep, the Mountview Theatre. And it has, and it continues to do some great performances. And I think for me, I wanted to challenge myself. I have done predominantly film and television work. So for me, when I saw that there was an audition going for The Girl on the Train at the Mountview Theatre, I thought, you know what, put your fears aside, why don't you give this a go? Because I still had that thing in the back of my head going, I don't think I can learn all those words. So I asked for the script, and I was very overwhelmed by the character Rachel Watson, because she's the lead. She's in 14 scenes. So but after reading the script, it was just so fantastic. Like, I read it within, I don't know, an hour or two. And by the end of it, I was just like, this is an incredible script.
What's the show about?
So it is based on the girl on the train, who is Rachel Watson, and she's sort of been entangled into a disappearance, a murder mystery, unknowingly. But it also delves into her addiction, heartbreak. It's a bit of a sad story for Rachel, and it comes to a climax at the end, but I won't tell too much about it. But it is a psychological thriller, and it's based on a best-selling book by Paula Hawkins.
And what's it like to dive into such an emotionally charged role?
That's a really good question. I love drama performances. It's definitely emotionally charged, this role, and there's been nights after rehearsals where I've felt quite exhausted by it, because you do take on the character, obviously, so you're taking on all the issues, all the emotions that character holds. But it's been a challenge. It's been an unbelievable challenge, and one that I've fully enjoyed.
The Girl on the Train explores themes of truth and memory and obsession. How do these themes relate to you personally?
They may not relate to me personally, but there's moments where you can kind of draw on experiences that you've had, maybe smaller experiences. I don't necessarily, I haven't got an addictive personality, but I have experienced heartbreak before, and I have maybe had a few fun nights out or something like that. But you do have to do your research, and you can take on some of those characteristics that you've experienced before. Yeah, for sure.
What do you think it is that makes The Girl on the Train such a compelling thriller for the stage?
You know, I think a lot of people that have read the book are quite confused at how it can be a theatre performance. But you can draw from those scenes and put them onto the stage. And each character that is within the story has their own story. And a lot of it is quite sad. But I think everybody could probably relate to one of the characters at some point. But also, it's quite immersive, the theatre performance. So there's a lot of sound, props, the staging, the lighting is all part of the experience. So I think if whoever comes to see it will take away that it's not just the performers on stage, it's a complete experience. For sure.
I'm chatting with Claire McCulloch about The Girl on the Train, which opens on the 9th of May at the Mountview Theatre. For more info and to book tickets, go to themountplayers.com. Claire, thank you so much for the chat and all the very best to you and the team for the season.
Thank you so much for having me.